Good evening. Like to call the August 3rd, 2026 Finance Committee meeting to order. First thing is roll call. So we have Zach remote. We are missing.
Can you hear me?
Yep. We're missing Bonnie, we're missing Tracy, we're missing Kevin. We missing anybody? 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 8, 9, 10. Nope, that's everybody. All right, if you'd like to stand for the pledge.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
No Peter here to leave that.
He was walking the wrong way.
He's got a sporting event that's more exciting than a boring FinCom, he told me last night.
Actually, do we have the minute?
I emailed them, and this is,
This copy, everybody, or just one copy?
no, one copy.
One copy, yeah. Okay, so first thing on the agenda is approval of previous minutes. Did everybody first get that email
Yes.
last week? 2, did you go through the minutes? And 3, did you get my email after 5 o'clock today regarding the minutes?
No.
Okay. So, I guess I'll take this somewhat backwards.
I'm on website now.
My email that I guess didn't go to everybody was essentially a philosophical view of how minutes should be written. And for those who were here on the 13th of July, the prior year's bills had quite a lengthy discussion. And to me, these minutes totally wash over that and do not give you the flavor of there was a debate on that whole article. And as I had written, I'm going to assume Mark and Christy got the email,
Yes.
that I'm not looking for a blow-by-blow, but I'm thinking the minutes should reflect that there was debate and that, you know, we spent an inordinate amount of time deciding even whether to continue to even pay the bills at that point based on our views, our differing views on how the information was being presented. So from my standpoint, the 13th lacks that information. It's up to everybody else. You know, you've read the minutes. If you want to approve them as presented, if you want them amended, I'll leave that up to the committee.
The minutes I don't see in this packet.
Right. Is there a way to,
They were sent out with the.
I know,
agenda,
but
yeah.
usually we have them.
is there a way to copy this for 7-ish people?
I mean, I could pull it up in my email, but
Thanks, Justin. Appreciate that.
Oh, wait, there's way more minutes. My bad.
Yeah, there was a.
There's a lot.
I'm good. I got the email. So
Same here.
Make it 5.
How many copies?
I'm fine.
I would like it.
Nobody else? Everybody else is good?
Yeah, I'll take a copy.
All right. So I guess we'll table that for now until the copies come back. Mark, if you want to hit either one of the new business items?
Sure. Well, we have our treasurer here, so why don't I go in and give you a brief intro into OPEB before I turn the time over to Lindsay. So as you know, OPEB is for health insurance for retirees, and this is an accumulated liability that we have incurred for people that have worked here for decades that are currently still on the town's health insurance. And I guess what we're getting to is the level of balance, right? So what's an appropriate funding? Everyone knows we need to fund it, but should we dribble drips and dregs? Should we turn the faucet full speed ahead? Right now, we're essentially doing a pay-as-you-go. We've been around 100,000. We put our foot on the gas pedal a little bit, increased it to 300,000. And what it does is it allows us to take advantage of the time value of money, which is, as you know, is incredible. So it's about balance. We have to balance essential services, capital, pension obligations, reserves, fairly compensating employees, and OPEB is just one of these things. So Lindsay will explain more about OPEB from a technical perspective.
Thank you. I'm Lindsay Grasso. I'm your treasurer collector. Nice to meet all of you. Thank you for having me. So tonight we're going to go over OPEB. You've all heard of it. Some people go, what the heck is it? What do we do with it? And how do we fund it? And why do we have to fund it? So hopefully we can cover all those bases tonight. And hopefully all the questions that you probably have I can answer for you throughout the slides and even at the end. Okay. So what is OPEB? OPEB is Other Post-Employment Benefits is what it stands for. So OPEB primarily consists of retiree health insurance, Medicare supplement plans, and other post-retirement healthcare benefits. So unlike the pension, because oftentimes people think, oh, well, we contribute to the pension. Why are we not contributing to OPEB? We already did that. So unlike the pension, OPEB benefits historically were funded as a pay-as-you-go basis rather than being fully pre-funded. So like our pension, we're contributing every year. We have an assessment. OPEB, it's kind of like an assessment, but not really. So we're given a liability that we have to essentially hit over a year's course of time, hopefully sooner than later. Next slide. Why OPEB matters. The town has promised future health care benefits for eligible retirees. Those future obligations create a long-term liability that must be measured through actuarial studies. And I had to pronounce that 10 times before I got here because I was doing payroll and I did accruals. It appears in the town's financial statements. That's our audit. Impacts long-term financial planning. And that really has to do with our general funds, moving those healthcare funds that are already in our general funds over to OPEB. It impacts long-term financial planning and is closely watched by bond agencies. So Moody's and S&P, they do look at this every year.
Thank you.
Thank you, Justin.
It was more than just that one meeting.
Thank you.
Sorry.
The liability is spread over decades and does not represent an immediate bill due today. So the statewide trends. I can tell you right now that every single meeting that I attend, every conference that I go to, OPEB is brought up. It is something that is consistently on the forefront of all towns and communities, specifically with treasurers and town managers. Massachusetts cities and towns are increasingly moving from a simple reporting their OPEB liabilities to actively funding them. So when I had first started my OPEB liabilities that I was reporting, I was sending over a healthcare census. I was sending over some information from payroll. And that was pretty much it. Now it's much more involved. The state is requiring more documentation, more information. Every 2 years, we do go through a study, and it is reported every year, but the study is every 2 years. Most municipalities have established an OPEB trust. More than 1/3 of communities are now between 10% and 50% funded. Communities making regular annual contributions have accumulated meaningful trust assets over time. Bond rating agencies increasingly consider whether municipalities have established and are following a creditable OPEB funding strategy. I can tell you from professional experience, I have sat in probably 3 different rating calls. OPEB is something that these ratings are significantly looking at. This past town meeting, the townspeople approved at town meeting the $11 million for the school roof. This is something that S&P is going to be looking at. They're looking at the big picture, of course, of how we're handling our funds, but OPEB is one of the significant things that they're looking at. So this next slide, go ahead.
Along that vein, I'm not aware that it's negatively affected us in the past because we had the whole package that we were a well-managed town. Do you know if it's directly cost us a AAA rating to something else or something, or?
It doesn't cost us a negative rating, but it certainly can help
look at
increase to a positive rating. So currently our bond rating is a AA+, meaning we're not quite there for AAA, but we're not as low as a AA. So all of OPEB is one of the ways to increase that bond rating. It's one of the largest and most significant ways to increase it in a very short period of time.
Thank you.
So this next slide, it really relates to how is the town of Norton doing. So in fall of 2025, we did invest $330,000, which is fantastic. However, the years before that, we invested $120,000, and the year before that, $125,000. If you can scroll down, Christy. So this is a direct snapshot at what's from our audit. So again, every 2 years, they do a study. Every year, there is an audit. There's a company out there called Odyssey Advisors. If you can Google it, go online. They are fantastic. They have done over 400 audits just last year for all the communities in the state of Massachusetts. Parker Elmore is the principal, and he's wonderful. I've been working with him for years. But he's the one who really comes up with these studies. This information here is often gibberish to a lot of people. What is the liability? What is the discount rate? What is pay-as-you-go? What is a crossover rate? And hopefully in the next couple slides, I'll be able to decipher that. Why communities are funding OPEB? Some of the benefits include the lower long-term taxpayer costs. Investment earnings help those offset liabilities. Improved financial statements, stronger bond ratings, and greater budget stability. Every dollar that we are investing today reduces future taxpayer costs. The big picture, kind of going back into what that slide was, and again, that report came directly from our actuary. The OPEB liability decreased slightly from $80.23 million to $79.8 million. That was down about $425,000. Plan assets, which is the fiduciary net position, increased from $130 million to $1.56 million, reflecting growth in the trust. The net OPEB liability declined from $78.93 million to $78.24 million, an overall improvement of $694,000. The funded ratio improved from 1.61 to 1.96% through the plan, although the plan remains significantly underfunded. The town contributed $125,000 to OPEB during 2025 compared to the $120 in fiscal year 24. There have been modest improvements in the town's OPEB financial position. Liabilities decreased slightly, trust assets increased, and the funded ratio improved. Norton does not need to eliminate its OPEB liability immediately. However, establishing an annual contribution demonstrates long-term financial discipline and strengthens the town's financial position, allowing investment earnings to help future retiree costs. The town of Norton's funded ratio is less than 2%. The plan still remains significantly underfunded. So essentially, the big picture is we have a liability of about $80 million. Currently, we have about 2 million in there. These numbers are based on the end of fiscal year 25. So these are not current. Our balance today is over a little over 2 million. And that's because we did contribute the 350,000, and then this past town meeting was approved for $50,000. So when we're talking about the discount rate, which really affects our liability, that discount rate is measured based on the interest rate that we're receiving. So if we left these funds in a money market for 3%, it's going to increase our discount rate, which is going to increase our liability. We are investing them, so to the tune of about 12%, which is going to decrease our liability. So investing these funds over a period of time is going to, again, decrease that liability while contributing to the trust. So I hope that all makes sense. Does anyone have any questions?
How do you come up with the discount rate? It's something internally driven, or is
So
that mandated by the state?
The discount rate is a series of information that is, it's a lot. So essentially what the actuaries do is they are taking all the census data from every employee that we have here, the town, school, you name it. They're taking it by the date of that they started, they're taking their age, when are they going to possibly retire based on their age, how many children in their family do they have, what is our healthcare cost today. Obviously, we know that our health costs are increasing exponentially over a series of time. This past January, I came from another town, and January 1st, the retiree health insurance increased 55%. 55%. That is 55% that I had to tell our seniors that was going up. It was 55% that increased for the town as well. So by investing in these, it does reduce the liability over a course of time. I am not going to retire for probably, 20 years. But by the time I do retire, OPEB, is something that we have to have this fund, eventually fully funded. Is it on fire right now? No. But is it something that they may require in 10, 15 years? Possibly. But it is something that, eventually we can move these funds from the general funds to the OPEB trust and remove those millions of dollars. And again, saving the taxpayers money.
So if I understand that right now, right, the discount rate, every town has its own discount rate?
That is correct. It is based on our budget.
Okay, and it's showing, yeah.
It's based on a lot of things actually, but it specifically starts out with our budget.
So ours has gone up from 5 3/4 to 6% in the last. So ours has gone up 1/4% in the last year?
Yes. So with anything, as far as the liability is concerned and the discount rate, it also has to do with our contractual increases. It has to do with that increase of the healthcare costs. Mark was saying earlier, it's a balance. These costs are going at an exponential rate, but our funds aren't coming in as much as we would like them to be, which is why we're trying to invest them. So when you're going with the discount rate and the liability, it's a calculation that the actuaries do come up with based on an exorbitant amount of information.
Thank you.
My understanding, Bill, if I may,
Paul?
Our pension budget is almost taken care of. It's a couple more years before we hit our happy
That's okay.
place.
So the pension is actually, the fully funded date in the state of Massachusetts is 2045. I'm not quite certain, don't quote me on this, but Bristol County Retirement has voted in, I think, 2035, that the pension system would have to be fully funded.
And I thought,
But that doesn't mean that Bristol County can't come back and say, hey, listen, we have a group of towns and we can't afford it. We're going to extend that out to 2038, or we're going to extend that out to 2040. So those things that can be voted on between now and then.
I thought we had something that was rolling off, Bill, in another couple of years that we were looking at possibly
Well,
at that point.
I thought it was the pension
Is that
in
far out still? Yeah.
5 or 10 years.
Okay.
That's what I thought.
Yeah.
Mr. Chair,
Sandy?
I thought it was decreasing in like 5 years or something at least. I know we have. I guess my bigger question too with all of this, and I don't know if this is a question for you or for Mark, But I guess I'd just like to see a specific plan as to, we had a plan before, you know, whether it was a good plan or not, right, is up for debate. But we did have a solid plan going in, knowing that it was going to be, you know, increasing by X amount each year. And we had a plan in our financial policy manual. I know there's a lot written in there about it. So I guess I'm just looking for the new proposed plan that we have now. Is what is, I know we want to increase what we've put in. What does that look like? Do we have a specific amount we're looking to put in? Do we have a plan, 5-10 year plan as to what those amounts would add up to?
Excellent question. So the way I understand the plan was to increase by 5,000 every year. So I before my time, I believe we started at 100,000, and when I got here, it was 115, then 120, and that was the pattern. And I've, you know, from my time at the Department of Revenue and participating in these bond rating calls, I noticed the common theme that Ms. Grasso also noticed, and that the communities that hit their liabilities head on were the ones that were moving ahead financially and just getting ahead of the curve. So I've seen other local communities do that, and it's a way to have a strong base. That way, we're not going. I use this as, we're not going toward a cliff. Like Lindsay's right. There's no emergency this year, next year, but if we're not planning for these, we're pushing it to future generations rather than, you know, we have past employees, present, pay as you go, future. We don't want to pay too far ahead, but we got to catch up. So a balanced approach. I don't have a number for you today what the goal is, but I will certainly come back with that.
Yeah, I think that would be helpful for me, because I know, like, we've always just funded this in the fall. So when it was all of a sudden in the spring, there was an extra 50,000. That kind of came as a surprise to me. So, you know, things like that, I think just if we can talk about it ahead of time, see the plan, see what it is that you're looking to allocate each year, and what that looks like and how that projects out in terms of helping us all, you know, our overall financial picture.
Yeah,
That would be
absolutely.
helpful for us.
Yep. And these things we're always looking at, you know, as far as around February when we're getting our healthcare rates and approved by the board, you know, changing plans and any type of benefit changes also helps the liability. The investments helps the liability. So it's not just you know, we want to, of course we want to continuously fund it, but it's more of a bigger picture. Like Mark said, it is a balanced approach. These are things that we are looking at every year to see how we can reduce this liability.
Mr. Chair, just
Yes.
question for me. When you say 78.24 million liability, how far out does that go? So is it 30 years from now, or how?
So that's as of that date. So that's usually, that number is based on the budget. That's the approved town meeting budget. So you can, and then the liability is based on contractual increases. Again, that large formula based on the age of our employees, who's retiring soon, the rates of our insurance, what kind of plans we have for our insurance. So again, it's a large calculation that the actuaries are coming up with. But that 78 million is more because that was a near budget that particular fiscal year.
Couple questions.
Sure.
So for the rating agencies,
Yes. My favorite topic.
yeah, mine too. So, you know, but before last year, yeah, we had a plan. I think we ultimately started at like 85,000, and then each year over the past like 6 or 7, we increased it 5. So that was, you know, the feeling was that's what A, the town could afford, B, it was showing the rating agencies, hey, we're doing something and we're actually doing a little bit more every year. So then this past year, we put in like 300.
Yep,
I forgot the exact
350.
number. Are the rating agencies going to be more upset with us if we can't meet that year in and year out now?
No. No. So what the rating agencies are looking for is they're looking for, are you doing it on a consistent basis? What is the growth? What is the percentage? What are you doing with the money? So essentially look at it like your own savings account. If you're if you're contributing $5,000 a year, it's going to grow at a much slower rate than if you're doing it at $350,000 every year. And what are we doing that? Are we leaving it at 3% money market, or are we investing in and getting a 12% return? So those are the things that they're looking at. And they're also looking at the full budget as a whole. So on these rating agencies, when I tell you they're looking at everything, I'm pretty sure that they wanted my firstborn child. That one they can't have. The secondborn, though,
Maybe.
that's theirs. They can take that one. The middle child. But they're looking at everything from how many students are in our schools, what are the budgets, how many people are in a clerical union. I mean, when I say they're looking for everything, they really do take a deep dive into the town.
But they're not going to get upset if the next time we fund it, the budget is such that we can only afford 150. So now we're showing, we jumped and now we got to pedal backwards because we can't afford that 350 again.
No, it's not looked upon negatively at all.
Okay. So one of the slides indicated that a third of the state is either 10 to 50%.
Correct.
How much of the state is at zero?
I don't have that exact number, but if I had to guess, in the conferences and everything else that I have been at, there's many communities that don't even have a trust.
Okay. And of the third of the state that is 10 to 50% funded, how many of those communities compare to Norton? Or are we talking the Newtons, the Lexingtons, the Westons?
Yeah, that is as of a whole through PEREC. So PEREC is our Public Employee Retirement Administration Commission. And essentially what they do is they oversee all the pension systems. So they were taking a look at the Plymouth County Retirement, Bristol County Retirement, Norfolk Retirement. So they're overseeing all that. So that's all of the communities within the state of Massachusetts. It's not just specific pension systems.
So there's no way to really tell. Is it just the better communities pulling that number up, where the middle of the road communities and the lesser communities can't really keep up with it?
Well, it still has to do with your liability. So even if you do have a trust set up, your liability is based on within that town. So whether you're contributing to or not, that percentage is based on who is contributing. So to answer the short question is, I'm not quite certain what towns are contributing. So that's a calculation, like I said, that was through PEREC where I got that information. But like I said, that percentage is based on all communities within the state of Massachusetts, whereas they oversee the pension systems through the entire state.
Okay. Thank you.
Mr. Chair.
Brandon.
So just looking at the state website right now, you can look up every town. So I just looked up one quickly. So Abington is only funded at 0.3%. So you can
Okay.
kind of look up every town if that's what you're asking. Yeah.
Kind of.
Okay.
Ultimately, I'm trying to get at, are the towns that we compare Norton to for so many other statistics, for this statistic, where do they compare to us, or where do we compare to them?
I understand.
The chair.
Zach?
So I can understand this better. Is this basically to fund health insurance? Is that the liability?
The liability is to fund the retiree health insurance. This is the employer portion.
Okay,
And it's
so
not
right
just health
now
ins-
it's, okay, go ahead. Other than health insurance, what else is it?
It can also include disability insurance, life insurance, and dental insurance. We only contribute to life insurance. So that would be the only other liability that we would have.
So right now, it's pay as you go. We're currently funding the retirees out of the budget every year. And now we're gonna fund this. At what point do we stop funding the current retirees and start withdrawing from the trust? Do you have to be fully funded before that happens?
Yes,
$78 million?
Yeah, well, that's the liability, but yes, you would have to be fully funded before we transferred it over from the general fund.
Okay, so that would be, we would be all dead by that time that happens.
I
Right then.
well, that depends how much we contribute.
I mean, okay. Thank you.
Slow and steady is the goal.
So I know you mentioned that you're investing the money at 11-12% right now. Do you have any floors to the investments so that if something catastrophic happened tonight, we wouldn't have a 20-25% loss in the trust?
So OPEB is actually, it has to do with the Prudent Investor Act. So this isn't something that we can just take all these funds and go day trade. This is something, the Prudent Investor is very, very limited. And that's the reason why it's very, very limited. So as of July 1st of this year, the Commissioner of Banks does come out with who we can invest in. Currently, these funds are held with Bartholomew, so they are the investment advisors for this trust.
But there are no guaranteed bottoms or anything like that? It's
Nothing
fully
is
in play?
guaranteed with investments. Any other questions?
Anybody else?
I was just going to say what Brandon said. Around the summary report, if you want to look at those towns.
Yep, and you can find our last report is on nortonma.org, and it's under the town accountants. That's a full report. I'm just sent over some of the data for this year, so we will be updating our figures this year. It's every 2 years, so we'll go through the study this year. If you have any other questions, you can email me or give me a call or stop by the treasurer's office. Okay?
Thank you.
You're very welcome. Thank you for having me.
Have a great evening.
You too. And her King Philip sounds fun.
We like fun. Thank you.
So thank you, Lindsay Committee. It's funny how the more you talk about something, the less scary it becomes. It's all about perspective. So with your permission, shall we move on to King Philip?
Let's move on to King Philip.
So this has been a perennial issue. I'll give Mr. Chicka a little intro. This roadway is a private way. We're talking about both of these, Charlotte Ave and King Philip Road. So the way they put it forward was a warrant article where town meeting will be asked to vote to accept both of these. So, I mean, of course, any amendments, or you never know what'll happen at town meeting. For the numbers, we have 15 private ways in Norton. We're talking about 2 of them. On King Philip Road, there's approximately 93 privately owned parcels. So 93 potential takings. The town maintains roughly 700 feet of accepted roadway. The remaining distance is 3,700 feet, so roughly 3/4 of a mile. That is a dirt road, an unimproved dirt road. And there are some state laws and local bylaws that govern our ability to fix private roads. The Constitution for Massachusetts doesn't allow us to spend public funds for private purposes. But there are limited repairs we can make, such as potholes, and street acceptance requires a basic level of engineering so you know what you're accepting. You have to describe it so you can file it at the Registry of Deeds so someone else could look at it and say that's that's what it is. There's numerous, I mean, we won't accept a road that's built today not up to standards. I couldn't tell you the last road that we accepted, probably the 700 feet of King Philip Road, 10 or 20 years ago. So I'll let Mr. Chicka give you any technical details. I'm not aware of the specific figures, the cost. I know the committee was interested in like how much it would cost or what's the minimum amount we can do. As I understanding it, speaking with the attorney from KP Law, which you have that in your packets, that's at page 27. Oh, there are a number of interesting maps. We tried to include all the useful information well in advance of the meeting to give you time to digest it. Essentially, town meeting can approve it, and if we're just approving a road, it's a majority vote, but if we're appropriating funds, it's a 2/3 vote. So, I'll leave it to the professionals to talk about what standards we need as to stormwater construction. I mean, everyone has an opinion, and people aren't shy about sharing it, and that's what town meeting's for.
So before we get to the font, though, do I can already hear constituents saying, hey, you accepted that road 30 years ago. You, as a town, did diddle to improve it, yet you accepted it. So how do you fight that type of argument? Because they have a point that we as a town have accepted various roads. Most of them are on Reservoir Street. A bazillion years ago, they're not up to any type of code, yet we did it. So how do you say that was okay, that's not?
Mr. Chair?
So,
Paul?
I thought most of the ones down the Grove were accepted because of the need for the sewerage. So there was tied to that, but there was no improvements to the road that I'm aware of other than
No, it was
accepted
just
and they
sewer.
put the sewer in.
You had to put the sewer in because of the pollution of the septic into the waterway. And that's even before my time in this town.
But,
So-
yeah, it's,
But, I mean, I can hear that argument at the meeting. So no matter what else we talk about, I think we need an answer to that. Or it's going to be a train wreck.
sure, and it's been said, the school bus picks up kids and the mail delivers kids, and how can you delivers kids? No, the mail delivers
I stopped ordering them
packages.
online,
Sorry,
okay?
good catch. So we're picking up kids, we're dropping off packages. Thank you. And are we constructively saying we maintain this road? I mean, that would be an argument, but we would say we haven't paved it ever since we installed septic in the road. That's why we paved it the first time. Haven't paved it since. Have patched up a limited number of potholes because we've put aside a few thousand each year for private roads. I'm not sure how, not a lot of money, but that's what we're able to do. Just essentially patch it up. And then they want a more robust fix, and that would require us doing it every 5 to 10 years, and not only one time. But I mean, the options are to accept it, to not accept it. Even a special act would be an option, to accept it or to appropriate money and then charge the residents a betterment for however much it costs to pave it. And then if we go that route, we're just going to have the same issue when it's time to do it again. So this is an issue that no matter what we do is going to keep rearing its head.
Good luck at town meeting.
Mr. Chair?
Paul?
I would love to know how it was able to be hand changed in the 11th hour after it was filed with the state and everything from 4,400 feet to be accepted down to 700 and just be initialed by the highway superintendent. And how that would pass muster, Mark, just for yucks. I mean,
So you're
it's-
referring to page number.
39.
I found that interesting as well. So you have before you the documents that the legislature approved us to accept a number of streets, but it was contingent on the board approving it. So I wasn't there. I understand at the meeting, someone made a motion. This is the 1998 meeting of the select board. And they made a motion to amend the number of feet on King Philip Road. Looks like it was initialed. I can't even read that. I was told it was the highway director. I don't know if that's true or not.
Yeah, Carl.
So, I mean, that was, my lay opinion is the first 700 feet straight, and then the other 4,000 feet is winding. So, be more cost effective to say, well, we'll take care of the easy part and leave the rest for another day. Here we are at another day. But
Mr. Chair?
Sandy?
So I have a sort of procedural question, since this is a citizen petition. We're doing things a little out of order with this, accepting it first before doing the layout. What does that mean? Does this acceptance, if a vote passes at town meeting, where it's a citizen petition and we haven't followed the process, is that binding, or is that something that now you still have to, you're just kind of telling the select board the will of the people?
so all laws that are passed at town meeting go to the Attorney General and the Municipal Law Unit. So if we accepted this road without defining the engineering meets and bounds, the Attorney General might be within their rights to declare that town meeting vote void.
Has anyone sat down with the residents? I know was some discussion on Facebook, and both of you, I think, offered to sit down with the residents to talk about the process of accepting. This doesn't seem like the best way necessarily, if it's not going to be, like, this doesn't seem like the first step. The way that this article was written doesn't seem like it would be the first step. The first step might be come up with a layout or something along those lines. I'm just wondering, is this just going to, in the end, even if it gets approved, just not really move anything forward? Is there a better way to move things forward for the residents if they do want to see the improvements made, the road accepted, rather than the article as the way it's been written?
So it's almost like a catch-22, right? Like, we can't put money to engineer it if it's a private road, but it needs engineering to become a public road. So what we normally see is a group, like a homeowners group or a group of residents on the street will get together and do a limited amount of work and then put something forward and then say, well, here's the scope of what we're looking for, and kind of try to get a consensus. I mean, here I've heard some loud voices, and there's also been silent voices. Like, we've got 90 something parcels. Who's to say that all these people are in favor of this? Maybe some people don't want a betterment. Maybe they don't want traffic on their road. We'd have to take a strip of land, roughly 1,000 square feet from each of these 91 lots. And we have to generally pay, we have to constitutionally pay fair market value of that land. Of course, they can waive it. Who knows how many of the 90 some odd people would say, no thanks, don't send me a check. But who knows how many of them would take the check and say, well, this isn't right. And they'd be entitled to go and litigate what is fair for taking that strip of land.
And you also, I also noticed that it said they can do the repairs by appropriating public funds and or pass along all or a portion of the costs of such repairs to the owners of the properties. So again, would that be, who decides that?
So the way the legal opinion's written, I understand the town meeting would vote to decide whether town meeting is appropriating funds, and they'd have to identify a source of those funds, or whether they're proposing to put it, a portion or all of it on the residents through a betterment, which could be paid over the life of a road, 5 to 10 to 20 years. So it could be, $1,000 a year for the next 20 years, if that's what town meeting decides to put each resident to make up for that cost. That's just a ballpark. It could be more or less. That's just maybe the average that's stuck out to me. Yeah, I don't have the numbers for the paving or for the amortization.
Paul?
So, Mark, the 4,000 feet of King Philip Road, it's not dirt, it is paved. It's poorly paved, but it's paved, and I think the town paved that when they did the storage. So I'm just not sure whether us to continue to maintain that at least to a usable standard because of the storage or not is an option or not.
Please.
When the town did the water and sewer, it was legal for them to pave the trenches that they put in the road. That doesn't take ownership of it. That was just, legally we could pave it. Since then, we've never maintained it other than doing potholes. So we've kind of looked back and said, well, is there something we could do because of that? And the answer is no. The town doesn't own that road. We do own the pipes below the road, that area below the road. So if it was a catastrophic failure of a water main or a sewer, we can go back in and dig it up. But then you have to put it back the way it was when you found it. No more. So that's basically why it is the way it is now.
Mr. Chair.
Sandy?
Justin, how many years ago was that? Do you know?
I don't know that off the top of my head. I'm sorry.
So I guess my question is, I mean, that road is, as everyone who's ever seen it knows, is just awful, right? And I know that my road that I live on has not been touched in almost the 20 years I've been on there. It does not look anything like that. So I guess my other question was, is it possible that when the town put that paving in, that they did not do it well and not
I
put
think
a
they
nice
brought it
base-
back up to a standard that was what there when they found it. Rather than leave it dirt, I believe they put a binder in, of grindings from milled pavement, like you see in a lot of parking lots. So they left it the way they did. So it's not a full depth road restoration like you're thinking of.
Was it paved before that or no? Was that the first time it was paved?
I believe that was the first time from what I see.
I think that was the first
I thought,
time.
because I thought Dale last time said it was paved once before that. No?
I don't believe so.
Okay. I guess I'm just wondering, in some cases, they probably would have been better off if we left it a dirt road and had stone dust or whatever you put on a street. Now paving it, I don't know what the other solution would be. Like what is if we don't do this, what's the solution so that they don't have a road that's just an absolute mess?
I mean, one recommendation would be for them to get together as a group, I think there once was a neighborhood group, whatever you call it, and pay for somebody to come in, mill that road, and put down, asphalt on top, which would probably last them 10 years. That would be a much less of a cost than if we tried to bring this up to the town specifications to what a road is.
Yeah, I guess that goes back to my point of it. They would have been better off. It
I don't agree with that statement. No,
It wouldn't have been cheaper for them to maintain a dirt road and put an extra layer of, rather than milling it and putting asphalt down and.
I can't answer that. I don't know that. I don't know when it was done. I don't know exactly what was done, but it wasn't better off than a dirt road.
So I said this back on the 13th. There is no like minimum amount that can be done to improve the surface of what they're traveling on, yet not bring it to the quote unquote specifications of 2026 because they're getting mail delivery. If there's a fire, the fire trucks are going to go down there. If there's a medical emergency, the ambulance is going to go down there. And they go down there today, and it's not to whatever these specs are that we keep going back to that you need to bring it to. Why do you need to bring it to if it has a history of not being there?
For the town to take it over or for the residents to have a private road?
I think a combination of both. Why?
They're two different entities. For the town to take it over, it needs to be brought to our road specifications.
But again, all the things down in the Grove and whatnot are not to
I
specification.
can't speak for that. I can speak for what it needs to be done today.
But
Mr. Chair?
back then, I'm gonna think, whenever the Grove sewer went in, that there were specifications, and we as a town, I'm gonna assume here, just said the heck with that, put the sewer in, pave over it, and that's that. They didn't take, yardage, left and right, and all that kind of stuff. It's just paved. So why are we getting stuck with it needs to be to this beautiful Beverly Hills level of construction? I don't get it.
I don't know how else to explain it other than it's the town's bylaw.
That's how you explain. Okay, so that's the answer.
But
So we need to change the bylaw.
But it also has to do with if it's a private road and now you want to use MassDOT money, if you want to use Chapter 9 money, 90 money, it has to be brought up to certain
Well, no, but if we
specifications.
change our bylaw, and excuse me, Mr. Chair, I think you're about to look.
yeah.
If we have a bylaw that says it needs to be a certain specification, we're just putting handcuffs on ourselves, right? We could change that bylaw and
For this
accept the
road.
road. No, change the bylaw generally, maybe, or
So all subdivisions too.
No,
You wouldn't want that.
no.
But that, if you change that bylaw, that's what you're doing.
But based on what Bill just said, if we have other roads that are at that level, that can't be true, right? I mean, how do those roads exist?
It is true. It is true. You have a bylaw that says you have to bring your roads up to current specifications.
But we didn't do that. That's what I'm saying.
And I understand what you're saying, but I can't speak to why you didn't do that 10 years ago. I don't know why you wouldn't have.
It's more than 10, but yeah.
I don't know why you wouldn't have.
I don't know
But if you
either.
change that bylaw, I can tell you that everybody that comes in with a development is gonna say, I don't need to bring this road up to specifications.
Well, actually, I can make a guess that given what the area off of Reservoir was, those were cottages back at World War II time frame. And then as time went on, people, made them so that they're four-season houses. If you were to take the bylaw that says it has to be to a certain standard, most of those houses would no longer have front yards. Their front door would go into the road because that's how you'd have to, improve each of those streets. So I'm going to guess that the powers that be at that time said, well, we can't do that. We can't take their whole yard away. And I guess I'm still thinking that same way of why would you have to widen this street to a bazillion feet when that's not what they're asking for? They're essentially asking, can we have pavement? I mean, that's kind of what they're asking for.
Mr. Chair, So
Sandy.
if we change the bylaw language, I don't, is the language in here somewhere in this packet at all? The
No.
bylaw? Okay.
I don't think so.
So yeah, without actually seeing it, I'm wondering if we change the bylaw, we would still have to accept as a town meeting any private roads to be, if we wanted to make them a town road. So that changing the bylaw doesn't automatically say, now we have to take every private road and accept it as a public way. It just says if we choose to, as a town meeting, accept it as a public way, we can do so without bringing it up to whatever standards, correct? Or am I
I
missing
don't
something?
think that's correct. I think it's two different things. I defer to Mark, but I believe it's two different things, meaning if I'm building a subdivision and I'm coming in and saying, I'm gonna give you these roads when I'm done, they need to be brought up to the specification that's in the bylaw.
But I would think a subdivision newly built would have some sort of differing standards than something built 70 years ago.
So, Mr. Chair, it's my understanding that quite a few of the newer subdivisions don't meet our, and that's why they're still private.
Yeah.
Quite a few of our
Don't
new
have to.
subdivisions do not meet our standards and are still private roads.
You don't have to. You can build a subdivision and leave it a private road.
Yeah.
Just a long driveway in essence.
Yeah.
Just
Mr. Chair.
And we're not even speaking here, I'm sorry, Zach. Go ahead.
So this is a citizen's petition, right? So what's the plan for the morning after if this should pass? Let's say, regardless of what any of us think, or the select board thinks, or anybody else, it passes, town meeting, now it's a public way. What's the morning after plan?
Well, we're immediately liable for the safety of people traveling on that road. We'd have to get together a plan, depending on if town meeting appropriated funds or not, would significantly impact our plan going forward.
You're also liable for stormwater remediation, which is a whole nother thing that I haven't even talked about yet. The area that's in and the conservation regulations that are down there that are going to impact this becoming a road are astronomical. I think the liability, like Mark mentioned, is the key to that.
Mr.
Okay,
Chair?
so before the water went in, before the water sewer went in, was that a dirt road or was it paved?
I will have to get you that information. I understand it was a dirt road.
Zach, I believe it was dirt, and kind of to piggyback off of Sandy's comment, I believe that the highway department courtesy graded it all the time for him to keep it passable. But
So
Which we
why don't-
could,
what if
which
we
we
go back
could.
to that? What if we grind up all the potholes, bring it back to where it originally was, and start from scratch? I guess I don't know.
Well, we'd have to mill it and then cart the millings out.
And bringing dirt.
Just once.
Would
though.
that be better than what it is today? I mean, I don't, I'm just trying to see what is the happy medium here, because even if this passes town meeting, you still got all kinds of liabilities and issues. Not to mention, I don't know where the funding's going to come from.
And I'm just talking about King Philip.
Yeah,
Right.
exactly.
the millings you take off of other roads. And
We
you
stockpile 'em.
stockpile them, correct. I had one of my wings to my driveway with that, and it ends up in the heat of the sun becoming pavement for the most part. And when I decided to actually have it paved, I had to have it built up again.
Because it gets hard again.
So it's almost an easy way of getting it better.
Mr. Chair?
Sandy?
So you said the morning after, we'd automatically be on the hook for all this, but that goes back to, again, my question from before, where you said the Attorney General has to first decide whether this article is even binding, legal, whatever. And you also said something about allocating money, but that's not part of the article language right now. So could that still even be done at this town meeting?
Well, they would have to identify a funding source, and on the spot, we would have to have the accountant confirm there are funds in that source, and then town meeting would have to, by 2/3, agree to that.
So would they have to
Expense.
amend the current article then on the floor of town meeting? Is that because the way it's written right now is not,
I mean, this is just a placeholder for now. I mean, as we progress over the next month, and my goal is to have all the analysis done by the end of August, so we can have plenty of time, that we're not debating this the week before town meeting. But
my understanding though with a citizen petition is it has to go in how they wrote it, how they signed it. That has to be the language in the warrant.
we'd certainly run it by town council. If that's the case, then that's how it would go in.
Okay. And the only way
mean,
that
and-
they could then could they even amend to allocate money when that's kind of outside of the scope of the original article?
That's up to the moderator. Oh, that's right. Because legal could say that people weren't sufficiently noticed.
Yeah, I guess that's my question too, is like, so did any of the citizens sit down with either of you to talk about the process? I feel like this petition is not even going to get the residents what they're trying to accomplish. That's what my fear is. Even if it passes, that it's either going to be turned down by the Attorney General, there's not going to be any money allocated towards it, there's going to be confusion on town meeting floor, and
I've had
amendments
one
tried.
one resident reached out to us, and me and Mark were trying to get our schedules together to sit down, and I think before that happened, this partition came forward.
I mean, they usually reach out during snow plowing season.
Would it behoove the town to be proactive and try to meet with these people to get the big picture, their side, our side being the town, with whatever the real costs are and all that kind of stuff, versus just having a blowout at town meeting that could go on for hours.
So
Is that a thing, and I'm asking you?
Like a forum, like we did
public
on
meeting?
the center of town.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking, like a public meeting where they're welcome to come and ask questions.
Yeah, I mean, would that be better than kind of the course we're currently on?
I mean, I don't know that we can unilaterally pull it from the town meeting warrant. I'm not even sure the submitter could pull it, as it's been signed by the number of residents.
how many residents signed that? I know the lead petitioner was Lucas, right?
He was one of them, right? 50, I want to say.
Really?
I mean, it should be here in the packet. But I mean, he has indicated, Lucas has a desire to work with us I mean, we weren't consulted before he filed it, but he has expressed a willingness to sit down and maybe come to a motion that would be recognizable at town meeting. Of course, I would tell him, hey, this one's not going to work, or this one's going to work, to avoid that awkward 10 or 20 minute recess at town meeting. And then we would have a definitive, we can or we can't do it before we even start debating it.
Mr. Chair.
Paula?
Mark, it's my understanding that you said we're not even able to do an engineering study or figure out the exact costs of what this would all be because it's still a
Have rough
private.
estimates of what it'll cost.
But then you talked about like conservation implications, and that just became like, whew, okay. So they're not even going to have an idea of what this would cost. So if this did pass, like, my mind's just going to like, are we going to need to have like a special
For this
town
to-
meeting, like to allocate money, and will there even be any money to allocate?
For this to pass at town meeting, the town would have to willingly go blindly into it and say, we accept this road
Yeah.
and all its liabilities.
Mr. Chair?
Mr. Chair?
Hold on, Gavin.
I just looking through the maps that we got. I know this is, you just said not an engineering study, but there's one encroachment on the actual main home.
Shed.
There's one that looks like the main home. No,
There's one shed that's on there.
It's not okay.
And that was done rudimentary. Like,
Yeah,
that
yeah.
was Google Earth that we did to see the width of the road that we need it to be and how much we were afraid that, like was mentioned before, we'd be on people's front doors, you know?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So I think there's actually two. I think there's one on the side street too that has it. Samoset or something.
Yeah, Samoset. That looks like, I don't know. I worry that that's the main house, and I mean that's a non-starter, right? For a street like this to take someone's home. So, I really think listening to everything Sandy has thoughtfully presented here, it sounds like, and others, it sounds like maybe rethinking this would be the best approach for these
Could
folks.
certainly meet with them. I'd be more than happy to meet with them and give them preliminary pricing and options for them to go about it their own way. I was asked to come by Mark just to speak on the DPW's behalf on what it would take for us to bring this up to town standards if the town so chose, which is obviously, up to the town if they want to take on something like that. Like Mr. Gould mentioned, there's 14 other roads that are private.
So you just said that you have kind of rough estimates. Are you willing to share those or not tonight?
No, I don't mind. I don't mind at all.
So what
So again, I'm not taking into consideration conservation. So keep that in mind. But the rough estimate to bring this up basically to town standards is $1.6 million roughly. Now that's considering that we would do land takings.
So the 1.6 includes the cash check to address number 2.
Correct, but we also used an average of $2.41, which I don't know what the assessed value of that is. That's like a standard average that we used of past takings.
Okay.
Mr. Chair.
This is strictly for King Philip.
Hold on a second, Steve. Zach, did you want to say something before?
Yeah, I mean, I've seen a few of these meetings. I mean, they've come before the Board of Selectmen several times. What they want is, don't take any of our property, just pave existing like you did when you put the sewer lines in, and that's it. And I think this is what they're after. I mean, I understand all the complexities with that, and, whether it's conservation, bringing it up to standard, all that. I just don't know if there's a compromise here to avoid the mess that Sandy's talking about at town meeting.
Mr. Chair,
Well-
can town council weigh in on, before it goes to the Attorney General, whether this article as written would even have any, teeth behind it?
Of course.
Because that might change their perspective or their tactic or whatever.
The other suggestion that we've thrown around is the fact that through a special act or one of these articles that KP Law mentions, a betterment, that if it was voted at town meeting for us to go in and just mill and overlay the road, and they got betterments to pay it back, I think that would, Mark would have to look into that legally, but I think that would suffice, which I think is what, as I'm playing this in my head, what you're meaning to say is there an easier way to not bring it up to standards? That would be a way, but I think depending on how much that betterment would be, would it outlast the cost, right? So to mill and overlay it, you're probably talking $150,000.
And I believe that's page 3 of the legal opinion where it talks about making a special act So the town meeting would have to vote, then the state legislature would have to vote, and then we would assess a betterment for whatever cost was
And the
authorized.
abutters would have to agree ahead of time to say, yeah, we're willing to do that. That would at least take, say, even at an extreme, $200,000 to mill and overlay it, divided by the 90 abutters or whatever. Maybe that'd be more palatable over a 5 or 10 year split. Both parties kind of get what they want. And you don't have to widen the road. You don't have to worry about conservation because we're not changing anything. You don't have to worry about us taking over the liability. You know, it's not going to become a town road. We're just willing through a special act to pay for it and allow you to pay us back. Something to think about.
Right. Steve?
But that could be also presented to them in a town meeting or a informative meeting.
So the betterment would be $2,000, basically.
So 5 years. I mean, maybe we could work on asking KP Law if that would fly.
Because that is what Zach's right, that is what they would like to see, it just
Redo it.
be done as is, yeah, bingo.
And believe me, if I had the power, it would be a lot easier for me to redo it.
But one of the two presenters a month ago, you know, hey, I pay taxes here, blah, blah, blah. I've always paid my taxes and this, that, and the other thing. So if we were to try to present them with, this is what we can do, but it's going to cost you, we'll see how that conversation goes. But I guess the other thing, not to give away secrets of FinCom, but if we don't have like a price tag that we feel comfortable with, we don't have to move the article. So, you know, then it's going to become a town meeting.
It gets moved by the petitioner, though.
Right.
Yeah, we only move our articles, really. We don't always, select board sometimes moves their own, water will move their own, sometimes will, Mr. Chair.
But
Mr. Chair.
Right.
I'll
Gavin?
just echo what you just said. I mean, they do pay taxes. They pay taxes for my road. You know, and most people's roads in town. So I think it would be nice to get this accepted. It would be the ideal, but we need to find some compromise that doesn't overburden the town. And if we could just magically, you know, turn it into you know, whatever, the Grove or whatever, and just nobody look at it, nothing changed here. It's been like this for decades. That'd be nice. But it's nice to know. Just one last thing. It's nice to know that at least the limitations are bylaws, so we as a town could maybe do something. It's not like a state requirement on roads that has changed in the last few decades, because then we'd be toast. So hopefully there's some hope there.
Mr. Chair, can we get a copy of that bylaw, or like a reference of where it is?
Looks like it's 135-14 and 135-16. That's right on. There's a link on the website to the bylaws. And it's chapter 135-14 and 16.
The chair.
Zach?
So, Mark, what would happen, I get, you know, I'm not a lawyer, but if we just spent the $200,000, milled it and paved it, what would happen then? What's
That's
Who's gonna scream?
the state's not going to come and rip it up. But might we get censured?
If we spent 200,000 and went down there and just mill and overlaid it, I think if you get
I'm
more,
not saying, I'm not talking using state money, using town money.
yeah, no, I think if you got more than 10 people in town that wanted to band together, they could sue you.
Right. Yes, they could. That's the 10 taxpayer rule for using funds illegally.
Any 10 people in town can get together and sue you.
Not to mention any of the residents on any of the other private ways are gonna say, hey, you did it for them, you know.
That's the can of worms you're opening.
Right.
And I
Right.
understand their feelings. I understand what everybody's saying. As far as being a taxpayer, you are a taxpayer, but you're a taxpayer living on a private road. There was once a committee down there. There was once a association down there. That's been disbanded over the years, and there are a lot of other roads where people live on it that live on a private road that pay just as many taxes.
Yeah.
And they pay
Does
to have the
anybody-
snow plowing and all that stuff on those roads, and a lot of them are new subdivisions.
The only thing we do there is a strip right down the middle for emergency vehicles.
Does anybody know if the assessment calculation takes this into account, whether or not you're on a public or private road? Does that
For sure, the neighborhood is taken into consideration. So the more attractive the neighborhood, of course, the
Okay,
condition
even though
of
that's
the
kind of
roads.
subjective, like our assessed values that our taxes are based off of are all.
Right. I mean, I understand these were originally, I mean, I don't know all of them, but some or most of them were summer homes. Like, so.
Okay.
Mr. Chair,
Brandon.
just Gavin, to kind of jump on to what you said, when my wife and I were looking at homes, one was on a private way, Lily Pond Estates, and they did have an association to pay to maintain the road, to plow,
Yeah.
and the house was less
Okay.
because you had to pay into this
Yeah.
association. So even though that's, I'm not picking a side, so to speak, but you do pay less for
That's
the
good to know.
property, and it is worth less because of that.
Yeah, which makes sense.
And it sounds like with the assessment, it it's very
It should
very
follow
similar.
that if the market value's being changed by that.
There's the 400 a year.
Thank you. I don't know if we're gonna have an answer. to
I'm
this.
sorry that I don't have a better answer. I really am.
I don't think it's not an easy question. I don't know how it's gonna go at town meeting, but there's a lot to think about here, so.
Mr. Chair,
Brandon?
I thought it was a great idea to have some type of informative session. I think it would also buy a lot of goodwill from the residents as well. Instead of getting, people getting upset and tempers flaring at
We'll
town
work
meeting.
together to try and figure that out.
Great idea.
Mr. Chair,
Paul?
20 years ago, you could get away with doing things without, it was such a litigious, I don't know if that's the right word or not,
Yeah.
society now
Yeah.
that if you went in and did something that didn't meet the code and then someone complained that the curve was a little sharper because it's the existing curve and we didn't bring it up to code, someone dies down there in an accident or something like that, it's all the town's fault for not, so it does open up a lot of cans of worms in this day and age. That wasn't a problem 10 or 20 years ago either, so.
Totally.
Yeah. So, all right. Before we, I guess, jump.
Why Mr. Chicken gets paid the big bucks.
Is there anything else before we jump into minutes, or are we good? We're good.
Sorry, Mr. Chair.
Thank you.
Mr. Chair, can I ask
You
a question
too.
about the snow money? Did we get snow money from the state through their, I forget what
Wrap?
it's. Yeah, RAP.
We will.
Okay. And that's
It's not
going,
open yet.
and that'll go directly into Chapter 90 funds?
It adds to it, correct.
And do you know what the, is
96,000, 98,000?
That's half a
It's in the
King
90,000s.
There you go.
What'd you
Philip. Half
say?
a King Philip.
State website, if you look
third
up
of our
under
snow
Norton
costs.
Wrap,
It's just not open yet. They said August 6th, I believe, or August 8th.
Thank you.
Thank you. So now jumping back to minutes. So again, from my perspective, I don't think July 13th in regards to end of year transfers really touches the conversation that was had that day. I'd like to see it amended, but I'm just one vote. So if we want to first start with that one, as to whether we want it amended first, whether we accept it as is, you guys tell me.
I agree. It should reflect more of how the conversation went.
Okay.
So, Mr. Chair.
Yes.
So I will note there's three main schools of thought with respect to minutes. The first is just to record votes, and many communities do that. The second, the middle approach is to record the main point of conversations, and then the third approach would be verbatim. And you could go anywhere, along those three. It's completely up to the committee, of course, what they want to approve. Normally, when minutes are circulated, like a week in advance, as they were here, if someone has something to add or amend, they would feel free to, go to the clerk, and that change would be made. They'd be recirculated, or that'd be ready for the meeting. That's usually how it's done.
Again, from my perspective, sitting here, I would not want one person to say, hey, I don't like this, submit it to the clerk to have it changed without the other people being involved. So I'm very much against that.
Well, then you report back to the committee what change was made.
Thank you. That,
Right. I skipped that part.
yeah. Minor detail.
Or recirculated, or just brought to the meeting with, oh, hey, I just want everyone to know on page 4, paragraph 2.
Right. So, again, from my perspective, minutes from all the years that I've been involved, either here or at work or whatever, minutes are probably more to your number 2, which hits the high points, but is not a 50-page document on each topic. So it's more than just, hey, there was a vote, 6 yeses, 4 noes. It's more than that, but it's not a blow-by-blow of what happened during the meeting. And unfortunately, again, from my perspective, this doesn't even touch the debate of what was going on that night, of the 11/12s and this and that and that and this. It doesn't reflect that. It just seems like we had a vote, and that was that. And we had more than a vote. We had a pretty lively discussion that went on for a while. And the minutes should reflect that. Should be able to give the reader, hey, there was a topic, there was a discussion, pretty lively discussion, and then this is where we wound up.
Mr. Chair?
Steve?
I think the minutes written are fine at this point. I think you're making it very difficult, I think, to go back and forth. I understand where we're coming from, but you're getting back into the whole verbatim, and it could get very long. These could be 50-page conversations. I will agree with you that probably the only thing that I noticed that's missing from the minutes is probably the description of the formula they use for the amounts. I'd be happy if that was in there to accept the minutes as written.
Again, I'm just expressing my opinion. I don't control if someone makes a motion, a second, and all that happy stuff that we do here.
Mr. Chair?
Paul?
So, almost anything that comes before us, we debate it. Sometimes lively, sometimes not, Bill, but everything gets debated and everything, so that's why most minutes that I've been, really just had the meat of the vote, rather than details of the discussion. But this was definitely an exception where it was very lively, but I kind of agree with Steve at this point that might not be worth going back to, but
You guys know what to do.
I was gonna say, do you have a suggestion for an amendment that we could, accept as amended, if you had a couple
I-
sentences to put in, or?
It was really the whole trying to introduce the 11/12s and estimating the last month, in that, that was supposedly some industry standard, yet it's the first we've heard of it. It was not, we weren't educated to this change, which made it even that much more difficult. Those are the things that I think are missing here. A word for word, what would I want to add into it? I didn't sit down to write what I'd add, but it would be on those topics of, for lack of better terms, we were, I felt, somewhat blindsided in, here's what we're doing, and we need this done today, without any background as to how we even got there.
Mr. Chair?
Steve?
I'll make a motion to accept the minutes with the amendment of description on the budget process that came out with the numbers, that these department transfers were based on overages plus a 1/12 of the total budget formula.
I'll second that for discussion.
I have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none. Zach?
I wasn't there, although I did watch the video. Abstain.
Gavin?
Yes. I watched the video thoroughly.
Steve?
Yes.
Sandy?
Yes.
Paula?
Yes.
Paul?
Yes.
Brandon?
Abstain.
I'll say yes.
Make, point of information, make sure we get this discussion in the minutes tonight.
No, just leave it out. All right. Thank you. So that was the 13th. So now, May 4th.
May the fourth be with you.
Thank you. I looked at it before.
Yeah.
I think I Mr. Chair,
Brandon?
I'd like to make a motion to pass the minutes as written from May 4th.
Second.
Have a motion and a second to accept the minutes of May 4th as presented. Zach? Well, any further discussion? Hearing none. Zach?
Yes.
Gavin?
Yes.
Steve?
Yes.
Sandy?
Yes.
What's your name again? Paula?
Yes.
Paul?
Yes.
Brandon?
Yes.
I too am a yes. Thank you. Let's see here. April 22nd, 2024. Goes back a few years.
Is the bold that they're yelling at us?
I think if I watched it and felt comfortable, I could.
I wasn't chairman, so I don't know.
So I couldn't. I won't.
Is that what it is, social media, the?
I just watched the 13th, so I was okay.
Mr. Chair,
Brandon?
I'd like to make a motion to pass the minutes as written from April 22nd, 2024.
Second.
Have a motion and a second to accept minutes from April 22nd, 2024. Any further discussion? Hearing none. Zach?
Yes.
Gavin?
Abstain.
Steve?
Yes.
Sandy?
Yes.
Paula?
Yes.
Paul?
Yes.
Brandon?
Abstain.
I am a yes. April 29th, 2024.
Oh, that's fine.
Mr. Chair,
Brandon?
I'd like to make a motion to pass the minutes as written from April 29th, 2024.
Second.
Have a motion and a second to accept the minutes of April 29th, 2024 as presented. Any further discussion? Hearing none. Zach?
Yes.
Gavin?
Abstain.
Steve?
Yes.
Sandy?
Yes.
Paula?
Yes.
Paul?
Yes.
Brandon?
Abstain.
I too am a yes. That's it for minutes.
Next meeting?
So I believe the next meeting is August 31st?
August 31st will be the first meeting after the warrant is finalized. So we'll have the full list.
How exciting.
Mark, will we be approving like the transfers from the miscellaneous into the different department budgets based on the contracts? Is that something that's coming up on the warrant, or is
That-
that something we do separately?
That will. We have a placeholder. So far, one union has finalized. We have a few other unions that are close, a couple other unions that are less close. So the ones that we settle will it will go to town meeting for ratification.
Okay, thank you.
And those that don't settle before have to wait until the following?
Then
or
we
special?
won't be able to make a payment until town meeting approves in the spring. Or, I mean, a special town meeting, but I don't think they would call a special town meeting for this purpose.
No.
Mr. Chairman,
Zach?
I don't want to rehash your last meeting by any stretch of the imagination, but for the next meeting, can we have an explanation, because I still don't quite understand it, on how we're going to handle the year-end transfers? Can we add that to the agenda? seeing there's been a change, and I did watch the meeting, but I'm still a little bit in the fog on the new policy.
We can, at the chairs, we can certainly do that. Just briefly, we still don't have an accounting software in place that can get it down to the penny. I know schools do a PO for everything, I believe, even if it's 10 cents. We just started a electronic PO process, but we're doing 5,000 and above. That's pretty normal for municipal finances. We're not going to do a PO if somebody wants office supplies, generally speaking. But we're looking at keeping records better every month, having check-ins from department heads. So we're looking at better records. Will they be perfect? Not with this software, frankly. But can we communicate that farther in advance and coordinate? Sure.
So then less likely to have the 112 stuff?
We can talk to the accountant and carve out what we really need.
Okay.
I mean, frankly, even today, we just got surprised with a $3,000 electric bill that was in someone's email account that hasn't worked here for months, even though 3 people combed through this email account looking for bills.
Mr.
Don't we
Chair.
have solar?
Mr. Chair,
Steve?
and I hate to bring this up, but that's a perfect issue, and these are follow-up items that bother me from the last meeting, right? Do we have in place an oversight of our budget process? It's disappointing for me to hear that scenario you're just talking about now that tells me proper controls aren't here, that bills can come in and we have no idea. I heard last time we had a piece of software that there was triggers that were switched off. I don't know if that's forever, recently or what, but I just want to have the assurance that there's proper oversight in this budget. It's not the department head's responsibility 100%, it's a lot of it. But someone else has to be on top of this budget. Previous administrations would have meetings, they would be aware, they would understand, and they can have conversations. That seems to be lacking.
Of course, that will be instituted, and we'll present that as part of the process.
Okay, great.
Mr. Chair?
A couple of other conversations we had, just follow-ups. For our next meeting, if possible, the positions that were modified or adjusted and what the operational efficiencies metrics were. I won't let it go, because I think we have to understand it. It should be laid out so we're all on the same page, so we can see them and tell the townspeople that's what we had, right? We had some discussion at the town meeting. There's a couple of questions on the number of positions added. I think we didn't explain it the way we should have to the town folks, but I think that's our responsibility here. All right, and then the last one, we had questions about how we can get answers from the town accountant. There was an agreement made. I don't know if there was a process on how the FinCom can go to that town accountant directly with our questions, or if there was a process outlining the agreement. I think that was a follow-up item that we had from that last meeting as well.
So the process is generally through the town manager. I mean, that said, I'll pass any and all questions to the accountant and get right back to you. I mean, so are there any questions you want me to forward? I'm happy to.
No, I think we all had a comfort level. We could go directly to the town accountant for our questions, not through the town manager. It's just a process question at this point, right? We have to have a comfort level and make sure we're getting the information that we're asking for directly from the town accountant. It's nothing more, but I just want to know if the process is laid out in that agreement, we have to follow it. But going forward, this committee has direct access to the town accountant, and that shouldn't be changed. That's just my feeling.
I mean, I can respect that, certainly. I mean, we're audited, and it's just that this accountant's $175 an hour. That's the only thing.
So we haven't hired a new one yet.
Not yet. We brushed off the job description, and we'll have another fresh release 3.0 in the next couple days.
Excellent. Zach?
Steve, I think that's part of it, is that they're still going through a temporary firm, but when we have another accountant in-house, yeah.
What I was gonna say, and again, I didn't want to rehash this here. I mean, I think it should be pushed off. We should have further discussion. The next meeting is, we haven't had any software forever, as long as I've been on the committee. And all the year-end transfers were limited to a handful at best. And now I saw the meeting from last week, and I'm still lost at why we had 20, I don't even know how many there were, transfers. We've never had software. We've always, it seems to always have worked. What's changed, and why are we changing it now? Again, if we can leave it on the agenda for next meeting, I'd like to dig into that a little bit deeper.
I don't want to say that might be an off-camera discussion, but
Come on and chat. I'm available anytime. Tuesdays and Thursday afternoons work.
I don't want to. No, I'll just leave it there.
Mr. Chair.
Sandy,
One of the things Steve brought up last meeting was talking about the payment schedules for the debt exclusions. And I had sent you an email that kind of gave a draft that we had received prior to the vote on the last debt exclusion. I don't know if those numbers are still accurate. I think those were just projections at the time. So if we could have something like that for all of the current debt exclusions, I think that would be helpful.
that was like last Friday you sent that email, I think?
Yeah, it was like a Friday night. It was a
Yeah.
late email.
Okay.
That's the payoff dates and all that, the liabilities.
Yeah, just like what for each year. There was a really good spreadsheet we had gotten that was analyzed like every for the high school project, for the actually it wasn't high school, it was for the fields, for the senior center, for the town hall. Broke it all up, showed the schedule and how it.
I can certainly get with the treasurer and pass along the most updated one. I think it will happen when we actually issue the bond for the roof. Right now, the spending is about $100,000 a month for architect fees, but the beginning of next summer is when the roof will actually go up. So the bulk of the 11 million will be blasted in 3 months, and that's when we're going to borrow most of the funds. So that's when it'll be refreshed and become an actual amount, not just the projection.
But
But
could we get the other ones also?
Yeah,
I was talking
Sandy's
about like
talking about
all the debt
Whole
exclusions
list
that
of
we
ones
have.
we have, yeah.
Everything historical that are still out there that we're still paying for, and
We can certainly do that. Just remember, we're paying 175 an hour for it. So it, there's a cost benefit.
We're saving money though, right?
the benefit is that we're able to, when you walk up to a fellow constituent, you're able to intelligently answer some questions that they have. I don't know if you can put a price on that. The fact that we don't have someone internal, can we do without this information for August 31st? Probably. Eventually, we're going to need to.
So you're curious in the stream of payments for the last, say, 5 debt exclusions on the
But like,
average
to Steve's
taxpayer.
point, he was talking about having a calculator and that's something that I could even easily do.
Right, there is one on the DOR website. I can send you the link.
that talks about does it break it down by each, like how much of my tax bill is going to pay for the senior center, to the town hall, to the fields, to the roof, to the high school, right? Is the other one we have?
Communities usually set that up right before the vote. So you can put your individual assessment in and it will show your projected schedule out.
Right, but unless I'm missing some of the points here, people do ask, oh my gosh, we've had this exclusion, this, when are they going to end? So the point is to have that information to kind of say, this is what the average taxpayer is paying X for, the Field of Dreams. It ends in 20 years.
And I'm
okay,
just
I
asking
think-
for the raw data. Like, I'm not asking for you to create the calculator. Just who has these charts that we had
So,
from
so
before?
I do have some charts that I think you'll find useful that the treasurer provided a link for. It's more like global and average than say high or low assessment, but I think that'll be beneficial. Maybe we can go for that from there.
Okay.
And
Mr. Chair.
Zach?
There's been, Mark, there's also been discussions in the past of putting that right on people's tax bill. I don't know what the logistics of doing that is, but it would be nice to get your tax bill and say, okay, this is your tax levy, this is your debt exclusions, and this is your bill, where people could see it every time they get their tax bill. I mean, I don't know if that's doable, something that can be looked at for the future, but it would be certainly transparent.
Or to put it again on the website that you put the the calculator thing in.
yeah, I mean, it wouldn't be that hard because every year's budget, we have the levy, we have the debt exclusion, we're added to it. So just find out what percentage of the levy the debt exclusion is, and then just divide that by tax bill by the average homeowner.
But the average homeowner is going to need to know, there are 15 debt exclusions in that big number. And when do
That's a little more data intensive, right?
when do they die?
And not to
Oh,
rehash last
we
week's
have a lot of
conversation.
that mapped out.
That's exactly how this started, right? Rolling it up to the taxpayers so everyone knows what they're paying for, whatever we can do.
It's a great
If it's
question.
New software, if it's on the tax bill, if it's calculators, but everyone has the right to know what we're paying for.
I'll pass along what I have, and I think you will find it informative. It does have the list of debt exclusions with the number of years remaining for each one.
Yep. Anything else? Hearing none or nothing, I would
Mr. Chair?
entertain a motion to adjourn.
Mr. Chair?
Brandon,
I'd like to make a motion to adjourn.
Second?
I have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Aw, come on. Hearing none. Zach,
Yes.
Gavin,
Yes.
Paul, Steve,
Yes, yes.
Sandy,
Yes.
Paula,
Yes.
Paul.
Yes.
Brandon,
Yes.
I too am a yes. It's not that I got the name wrong. I got it in the wrong order.
Yep.
Is it the hairline bill or what?